My husband did not answer his phone while I was in surgery. Not once, not twice. 14 times I called him. 14 times it went to voicemail, while doctors were cutting me open to save our daughter's life. And the only person holding my hand was a nurse named Patricia, who had 3 other patients on her floor and still found reasons to stay. When I woke up, my daughter was in a bassinet beside me, making small sounds I could only describe as complaints. She had opinions already. I loved her so completely in that first second that the feeling had no name. Then I looked at the door, empty, no husband, no flowers, no anyone. That was the moment I understood that the marriage I had been trying to save for 4 years was already over. What I did not know yet was that a stranger had been sitting in the waiting room since 7 that morning, waiting for me, holding a folded note she had written 8 years ago for a woman she had never met. And what was written on that note was about to change everything I thought I knew about the man I had married, including his name. You know, that feeling when you realize the life you have been living inside has a completely different shape when seen from the outside. That is where I was for 4 years. My name is Maya. I was 37 years old when I got pregnant. We had been trying for 2 years, and when the test came back positive, I sat on the bathroom floor and cried for 20 minutes. Not because I was scared, because I was so relieved. I thought a baby would fix the space between us. Fill it with something real. I know how that sounds. My husband was happy too, in the way he was happy about things. He told his mother first. I found out because she texted me not to congratulate me, but to send me a list of baby names she preferred. That was in October. By March I had gained 31 pounds, developed a mild heart condition that required monthly monitoring, and discovered that my husband had been taking weekend trips to Charleston without telling me. He said it was for work. I did not ask follow-up questions. I had become very good at not asking follow-up questions. He had spent 4 years teaching me that noticing things was the same as overreacting. The missed dinners that smelled like perfume. The credit card statements he moved to a separate account. The way his mother would look at me across the Thanksgiving table like I was a guest who had overstayed her welcome. Every time I raised something, I was told I was making things bigger than they were. You are always jumping to conclusions, Maya. You always make things bigger than they are. After 4 years of hearing that I had gotten very good at second guessing the plain evidence in front of me, that is what certain people do. They do not need to hide the truth. They just need to make you doubt your ability to see it. My due date was April 14th. On April 2nd, I woke up at 4 in the morning with pain that felt different from anything I had read about. Not the slow tightening of early labor, something sharper, something insistent. I reached across the bed. My husband was not there. His side was cold. I checked my phone, no messages. I called him, voicemail. I sat on the edge of the bed for a few minutes breathing through whatever this was, telling myself it was probably nothing. Probably Braxton Hicks, probably what his mother loved calling overreacting. I called him 3 more times. Voicemail, voicemail, voicemail. At 5:15, I drove myself to the hospital. By the time I reached the emergency entrance, I already knew something was wrong. The kind of wrong that a person feels in her spine before she has words for it. They took me in immediately. Within an hour, the doctor told me my placenta had partially separated and that we needed to move quickly. Is there someone we can call, he asked. My husband, I said. I have been trying. He nodded in the way doctors nod when they already understand the situation better than you do. We will keep trying, he said. Right now let us focus on you and your baby. They prepped me for an emergency cesarean section. I remember staring at the ceiling tiles in the operating room, counting the small perforations, trying to find a pattern. I remember Patricia, the nurse, from the intake floor squeezing my hand and telling me I was doing great. I remember thinking I did not want my daughter's first day in the world to be defined by her father's absence. I remember everything going white and quiet. When I woke up, she was there, 4 pounds 11 ounces. Yellow blanket, small sounds that were clearly complaints. I looked at the door, empty. Patricia came in 20 minutes later. "Your husband still has not," I started. "I know," she said gently. "He has not responded to our messages." "I am so sorry, Maya." I nodded. I looked at my daughter. I told myself to stay present, stay in this room. The rest of it, the anger, the reckoning, that could wait. Right now, I had 4 pounds 11 ounces of brand new person who needed me to be calm. It was around 8 that evening when Patricia came back into my room with something in her hand, not a chart, not paperwork, a folded piece of paper. The edges creased like it had been handled carefully before being passed along. "There is a woman in the waiting area," Patricia said. Her voice had a different quality than before, quieter, more deliberate. "She has been there since about 7 this morning. She says she does not know you. She asked me to give you this." She set the paper on the tray beside my bed. "She said to tell you, only if he did not come." I stared at the paper. "She is still out there?" I asked. "She is still out there," Patricia confirmed. I picked it up. My hands were not steady. I unfolded it. "My name is Diana. I do not know you, but I know your husband. I was married to him for 3 years. I was in the same hospital in a room not far from where you are now. 8 years ago, also alone, also waiting. I will not tell you what to do. I just did not want you to wake up the way I did. Not understanding why. Not having any context. You deserve context. If you want to talk, I will be in the waiting room. If you do not, I understand that too. And I wish you and your baby well either way." I read those words lying in a hospital bed with stitches in my abdomen and a 4-pound daughter making noise beside me. And something in my chest shifted, not broke, shifted, like a door that had been painted shut for years suddenly finding its hinges again. I called Patricia back. "Tell her she can come in," I said. Diana was 51 years old, which I had not expected. I had expected someone younger. She was tall with silver-streaked hair she kept in a low bun, wearing a gray cardigan and sensible shoes. She looked like a woman who had stopped performing for other people a long time ago, and there was something deeply restful about her face. She sat down in the chair beside my bed without being asked, looked at my daughter for a moment, and said she is beautiful. "She has not decided on a name yet," I said. "She is still interviewing candidates." Diana smiled. Good policy. We did not speak for a moment. Then I asked her why she was there. "Because I drove past this hospital 8 years ago," she said. "On a day when I was fine, and someone I barely knew stopped me in the parking lot and asked if I was okay, and I said yes, and she did not believe me, and she stood there until I stopped lying." She folded her hands in her lap. "So I try to do that for other people when I see it." "How did you even know I was here?" I asked. "I did not," she said. "I am a midwife. I work the early shift here on Tuesdays. I was in the hall this morning when they brought you in." She paused. "He called from the parking lot at 6 in the morning, before your surgery. I heard him on the phone because he was using his outside voice inside the building. He was arguing with someone. Then he left. I absorbed that. He was here," I said. "He was in the parking lot for about 12 minutes, Diana said. Then he got back in his car." I looked at my daughter. She had her fist pressed to her cheek like she was thinking hard about something. My husband had been 12 minutes away while I was in surgery. He had chosen actively to leave. He told me the same thing the first time, Diana said. "Work emergency, could not get away. By the time I was out of the hospital, he had bought flowers and written a card. And I told myself it would not happen again." She looked at me directly. "It happened again. She did not say leave him. She did not say here is what you should do. She just sat with me in that room for 2 hours. and talked about her marriage and mine, and the way certain people are very skilled at making those closest to them feel like the problem. His name before me was Ryan, Diana said at one point. He goes by Nathan now. He changed it legally about 6 years ago. Professionally, he said, I always thought it was because he needed a clean slate, a new name so the next woman could not find the last one. The floor dropped out from under me, even though I was lying still. What do you mean his name was Ryan? I said. Before we married, he was Ryan Calloway. Nathan Cole is new. I thought about the background check I had never run. I thought about his insistence that there was no one from his past worth meeting. I thought about how I had accepted, that without question because I was so grateful to be wanted, that I had never stopped to ask who was doing the wanting and why, and what it had cost other people before me. And that was the moment everything started to make sense. But what I found next changed everything. You need to see what happened next. Watch part 2.